Well, hello. Hello, welcome back. Frantz Kantor here again. Drawing, welcome to the madhouse situation that we're in, we find ourselves in. It's a bit daunting. However, let's proceed with something that's more pleasant. I'm starting a bit late today because I just had to listen to the Premier's report. So we're going to draw a character that's going to make me feel a little bit better about life, about the situation. I just thought we'd try that. I've been trying to play around with some shapes and things, but the subject of today is going to be this fellow, and it's one of the Python team, Eric Idle. So he's got quite a distinctive face and a range of expressions. Does some really great takes, and they're all very physical comedians. So they have a lot of range of face pulling and characterizations and things like that. It's a lot of energy, and he has as well. Like this is from Meaning of Life. He plays this racist French waiter. This is him with the team. That's him in the middle. Looks really surrounded the same bunch of idiots. Some cool stuff. So he's had a pretty prestigious life. That's him more or less today. This is him as a one of the takes. So this from Monty Python days. That's his sort of his hairdo, obviously from the late 60s. So some very distinctive features there. There's a very strong impression of the nose. Obviously, it's quite strong and broad, especially the bone part. The eyes have a distinctive shape as well, so we're going to look into that. So there's some good shapes there to play with. So very elastic. You can see he's very used to pulling faces. So that's what we're going to do today with him. We're going to pull his face. Hopefully, you can see he's quite a prominent nose. Hopefully create something that makes sense. So Eric's born in 1943, so a former member of obviously the Monty Python team. He's been in the Ruttles, been on Broadway with Spamalot. And we've got the to make us feel better. I've got the lyrics of the Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, so we might get a chance to read out some of those. I'm not going to sing them. I'm going to read them out. So he's very distinctive features. He's got some really interesting teeth that are quite sharp and almost rodent-like. But I think I like this kind of expression because it seems to be very... it's got properties that we can sort of push and pull, I think. So that's what we're going to try to do. So what we're doing here, in essence, is we're going to draw the face, but we're going to draw a caricature. And in order to do that, my take on caricatures is to simplify, and by getting it into a simple shape, you're then able to bend it and see how far it can bend before it breaks, how far you can distort these shapes, before they break. We're not going to do it too much, but I just thought I'd try to get something happening that I'm happy with to pursue. So I've taken this idea of the thumbnail and I've taken it into a pencil, just a quick pencil on the toned paper. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now there's some distinctive elements here, the nose and the eyes. And probably, if you notice, not so much in this one, we'll have to correct that. But there are some definite aspects to his to his eyes. So there's a lot of shape appears to be going in this direction. So the eyes have a sort of a tendency to sort of converge downwards, and the nose is quite big. If we go back to the black and white one, it's quite a big nose with a curved end. So I probably need to fix this one because I think it's not going to get us over the line. So I'll try and do that now. Put a light source in there. Apologise for the sound. That's outside the studio. It's a mall, so they still have more music. So I'm pushing things outside of the limits of the reference photograph, which can be a bit dicey, but we'll see what we can do. It's also, of course, we've got to pay some attention here to the eyes, and I think they're kind of filling out a little bit, or filling in with pencil, so might need to rethink that. This eye, because it's perspective, it's hidden by the bridge of the nose, but this one here might give us a bit of problems. Okay, so let's try to find something here. So put in highlight. How light are those eyes, though? You know what I might do? I might cheat here and let's try to edit this picture, because I want to see how these eyes work, because in the other photograph they're not really distinctive, they're quite open. So this one here is they've got this skin texture down in the center of the eye. So around the eye is like a series of muscles, and occasionally in a lot of people's faces there's like a little fatty deposit there, and that means that you get a face where the brows kind of impede into the orbital socket. So they come forward a little bit, they push downwards into the eye area, and that's the feeling that I'm trying. I'm sensing that's what's going on here. So it's something that I feel rather than see, and because of that, you know, it's a bit dicey. Let's see what we can do with the pencil. So the reason for Eric Idle is just because we've got like further lockdown restrictions and things. I just thought I would try to look on the bright side of life, so to speak, and draw somebody with that would, you know, be an inspiration in these dark times. Okay, kind of like this. It seems to be all right. going on here? Got little caterpillars happening. I was all set to draw someone else, actually. I was just referencing some. I was going to go into Bing Crosby. I might do him tomorrow. I've got time. Go back into Fez land. I like fezzes. Eventually, I will get to Doctor Who, 11th Doctor, who wore a fez, because fezzes are cool. Okay, I kind of like that. I feel that that's the correct expression. I know I probably shot myself in the foot by not starting with this photograph in the first place. But I kind of like, there was something about the other photograph which I'll go back to it in a sec when I've pushed some of these shapes around to a satisfactory level. Okay, so I've got this shape happening. And this is really good for a 3/4 view of the face, right? Because I quite like this. There's also a light in the photograph, light source coming in from the right, which means that you're going to have shadows on the left, the bottom left, right? So that's kind of normal. That's a very normal situation. But I am changing the rotation of the head. So I am applying more perspective. And because of that, I had to generate this shape underneath to try to get a correct center line and a sense of perspective. So I've drawn this out again. This, of course, is the T-zone or the T area or the T-mask or whatever, the mask area. It's basically the eyes, the nose and the mouth contained within a relationship parameter. So everything else here, even big ears like Bing Crosby or something, everything else is secondary in importance to the relationships that you build with the eyes, the nose and the mouth. So these elements here are very, very important. And in a caricature, of course, you're moving the goalposts around. So you've got to keep an eye on the ball. You've got to really keep focus on all of these elements at the same time. Okay, so when you're drawing the eye, the detail in the eye, keep your eyes moving around this facial area, so that you can get it happening within a proportionate look and feel. This, you know what he's got? Ooh, he's got a big, he has a big beak here. Let's try to fix that. You could actually give him like a parrot beak if you wanted. That would work. Yeah, so that's very distinctive, I feel, and fair enough. Fair game. If you didn't like it, stay out of the kitchen. So there. Don't have a big schnoz. So it's very important to have a sense of balance, I guess. You know, this tilting forward and tilting back with the shape of the head. You know, it's creating some sense of movement within a static element, like a static figure. So, you know, as the figure moves forward, there's a tendency to move back. If I was animating it, that's what I would do, to have a sort of a corresponding cushioning effect, you know. All right, so that's something that something that I like to play with, the center of gravity and balance and imbalance. Other things are, like composition-wise, of course, it's a sense of positioning within a space, a confined space that creates a dynamic imposition of negative space. So the idea is negative space, the same proportion as the positive space, which is him, gives it a sense of unity and balance. So it's like the yin and yang symbol, where you've got an equal proportion of black to white in the shape. All right, so let's continue. So we've got some ground rules here, which kind of make better sense for me. And I've changed the photograph, as I said to you before. I've rotated this some more as well. And here in the photograph, you're looking up at the face, and on this photograph, on this caricature, you're kind of looking down in a way, where you're looking up and down. So it's kind of a fisheye effect. So we're just going to play with this. I'm not sure if it'll work, to be honest. I've never drawn him before. I don't know what the right way or the wrong way is of his face, but I'm just trying to find my way in the dark, as it were, and to have fun. Because the number one rule of drawing, you must have fun. Otherwise, why do it? Don't do it. So I think I've got a subject that I can explore a little bit and enjoy the challenge. And it is a challenge because I don't know if I've got the likeness, and I may not get the likeness. But I'm still going to enjoy trying. It's got a lot of fantastic textures on his face. He's had a lot of he's traveled a lot, he's done a lot of television, a lot of like shows and things, and obviously he's involved in comedy, theatre. So it's quite a distinguished career outside of Python. But in many ways, he's kind of like, the Python that you always remember the lyrics to. I know it sounds weird, doesn't it? But they have such great sketches. One of my favorites is with Cleese and him, actually, Room for an Argument. He just basically walks in. Is this a room for an argument? And it's like, one of those colleges, learning colleges, where you learn different skills, life skills. And one of them is argument, learn argument 101 or something. So he walks in and says, is this the room for an argument? And Cleese just says, I already told you once. And of course, it starts the shtick. Very interesting. You've got a dimple here. I must find out the name of this part of the anatomy of the face. It's got... it has a name, but I can't remember now what it is. But it's quite distinctive, isn't it? It's kind of... There's a lot of little tiny muscles and pulleys in there, because it's basically an opening closing mechanism like the eyes, and that's with the mouth. But there is a lot of peeling and pushing and pulling up into the cheek area itself, so that gives both the mouth support, but also it creates a lattice work of very complex pushing and pulling in different directions. So that's quite an interesting aspect about him. And of course, he's got like a very distinctive shave rash or 5 o'clock shadow. It's like a beard area, which is quite pronounced as well. So you look for things texturally to make sense of in the drawing, right? And it's all quite safe now because I'm using a brown pencil on grey paper. So I'm quite close tonally to the grey paper. I'm not making any huge distinctive light or dark accents yet. Now this is an interesting conundrum because I've got I've turned the head around, rotated it, so a lot of these interesting shapes are actually on the other side of the head, and I've lost them now. But they're effects, because everything has a cause and effect. When you pull something, it pushes. When you pull, when a muscle pulls in one way, it kind of creates a ripple down effect around the face. So people with very rubbery faces, you know what they call rubbery faces, are they're incredible because they can push and pull tissue all over their face, and they're very interesting to see. So although it's not there, I'm going to impose the positioning of the cheekbone. The cheekbone has an actual name which I've forgotten. It's always close to the skin, along with the front of the cranium, and that sort of gives us a handle on a realistic feeling, whether it's there or not. Sometimes you have to look beyond the photograph, right, beyond the reference, to find some level of truth that you can play with. Because it's not just about a portrait, and it's not just about like an exercising cartoon. It's something in between. So you're referencing real life, but you're also holding that up for analysis and for critical evaluation. This is a nice little gap there. So none of this is in the face. It is, but it isn't. Okay, I'm just trying to turn the face around in my imagination, and that's where I'm getting this balance from, because I couldn't get this in a photograph, but I could see the effects of a lot of this movement in the photograph that I chose. So that's what I'm trying to, apart from obviously with the eyes, because I think he's looking down, and it's changed the positioning of the of these eye flaps. It's not the lids. They are, but there's a fleshy zone. There's a fleshy zone here. So that's what's causing this, and it happens in a lot of faces. You see that to various extents. You know, I did a caricature the other day of a cartoonist, Wally Wood, and you know, his were very, very strong. So it happens. He's very active. He's a big thinker, this guy. He's a big he's got a big noggin, a big brain, and there's a lot of activity going on in there. You know, there's a kind of this sort of frenetic lacework, hurried lacework of wrinkles at the top of his head, in his forehead, and his eyes as well. So comedians tend to have a lot of activity because they analyze life, they analyze people, and they observe people all the time, and that's very important. So you need to have the ability to scrutinize and analyze to be able to write humor. So when they when they write their gags, their skits, they're referencing life. They're observing life. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to observe life as well, but I don't know whether I'm doing it the right way. We'll see. It could go horribly wrong. I just felt that I needed to experiment with this subject a little bit more. So I went off the prescribed path, so to speak. Okay, so I've got some nice things happening. We'll try and catch some of the movement of the hair now, because he's got a lot of hair, and it's quite unruly and tousled and stuff. So it does form some directional properties, and ribboning, which is a gathering of hair into tufts rather than individual hairs that are messy. If you think of hairs as ribbons, they make more sense than if you draw them. Otherwise you're going to spend all day drawing hair, and you need to comb it. You need to control the hair a little bit, just to have some level of ability to draw it. Okay, that'll do. Some highlights up here, which I can leave with the brown, I think. Okay. The hair going away from us, we can simplify that a little bit. That'll do. That might work. Okay, that'll do. Getting there, quite happy. I love these sort of thick and thin lines and sharps and straights and curves combined. So there's a rhythm of curves. There's a rhythm of sinuous shapes that continue throughout things. Like the crease up here, it jumps and grabs the contour of the face, of the nose, then continues on and up into the cheeks and down into the mouth, down into the chin, down into the neck, etc. So this sort of waving backwards and forwards, and it just makes the drawing of the face or any subject you draw, it just makes it more fun, because it's more, you get more exercise, more action, I guess. So that's my story. Okay, here we go. Just clarify some of this line work a little bit. I don't know what color I'm going to do the background. I might do it black. Let's see. We'll wait and see. All right, so I've basically got a form which I think I'm quite happy with, and now I need to draw in some of the details. And okay, got it. All right, I get it. He's got grey eyes, so we're going to correct the lighting a little bit here. And so what I'm doing essentially is bullshit. I'm making things up because I can't quite see it. I've changed the the position of things so much that I now have complete freedom to do whatever I want. And whether or not it looks like him in the end doesn't matter anymore. I'll try and do as much as I can, but I've obviously moved into an area that anything can happen. Anything at all can happen with this. It also doesn't help having such a grainy reference photograph to work from. You know, that's also a big no-no, I think, for drawing, isn't it? Because you don't really know. You don't really know what's what. So I'm going to try and keep some of these strong contour lines that articulate some of these shapes here, because they're beautiful shapes. He has a beautiful nose, and you know, very distinctive. So caricature is looking for the opportunity to play with shapes in the face, and that could be overall, like the overall simplification and distortion of the head itself, but also in individual shapes, you know, the shapes of eyes and noses, etc. So individually it can sort of laser focus down into the elements. There's some skin blemishes he's got as well. You need to focus on a lot of these little details that help establish a relative. Wow, look at those wrinkles are beautiful. Maybe I can. What if I could get some of them? Dare I? Maybe. Have to be careful. Referencing so many different disparate images, you tend to. There's another thing too. He definitely got like a freckle skin. So, you know, that's quite fun doing that with textures. I love doing that. I don't do freckles enough on people, but, you know, I love finding them. And when I find them, it's like finding the cheekbone and putting it in, even though you don't see it so obviously, but if you feel it's there, then it feels right to put it in. Okay, go back to our main image. See how blurry that shot is? Oh well. So things that line up, lines that connect and continue, you know, in a sinuous movement. They call that the rhythm. In life drawing, obviously, you know, refers a lot to rhythm because it gives an indication of movement. Well, with this, you have a sense of movement in the forms of the face. So it's not such a wild idea to think of these continuous forms and that you're drawing as a form of rhythm. Okay. All right, now we go into the danger zone here. For that, I might need to go back to... Okay, so definitely grey. All right, so... Okay. So some of the the shapes and the eye on the reference material is different to the other shots, to the other. And I think it's got something to do with the expressions. You know how like sometimes you ask an uncomfortable topic and you get a totally different facial expression from the subject. And I think that's what's going on here. So it's some obvious serious he's talking, so it's some serious sort of answer he's thinking about. So you're actually looking at thoughts that have changed the face. Okay, all right. There's also a little bit of we're going to hit this with a white pencil later on, but there's some shiny textures associated with eyes and lips and noses for that matter, but it's very important to sort of keep textures like skin textures like shine in the right sort of area. So never use the white pencil if you're working in tone paper. Don't use it to color in. So just be very careful how much you use of it, because it does tend to overdo the highlights. And when you put in too many highlights, then it's sort of like there's no highlights. This is a Posca acrylic pen, so it's quite opaque, and it's going to give me hopefully the ability to put in some very cool highlights here and there. There's some very interesting things happening. Okay, so let's leave that for now. I just want to remember, though, there is a light in this part. How should we tackle this? We'll wait. Let's finish the black first. We'll come back to that. So the black is now to help the brown establish a hierarchy of light and dark. It's in a way it gives it sort of a crispness to the drawing. It's still working over the brown, so it has a warm tone, but you are building up a hierarchical expression of tone. Okay. There's a lot of very intricate lines around his eyes. So he's really a keen observer of life, I think. Wrinkles and lines come from expressions that you hold. So they're not all like sun damage. Some of it is, definitely, like for an outdoor life or a traveller. There would be a lot of sun damage, of course. But it's not all sun damage. Some of it is to do with expressions that play around the hair, the face, that play on the face, and the expressions come from thoughts and also from feelings. So there's a whole lot of activity that's created from emotional things going on in the brain. Let's use a soft pencil, not that one. This is a Prismacolor, which is a bit softer, so you get a bit of more coverage. You know what? I might try to help that a little bit with this. fix that up. Put a little bit more white in the sclera of the eye, just to help it kick it up from the grey paper. And the bottom of the lid. And you know, it's kind of nice actually when you stop what you're doing and go into the sculptural effect of the drawing early. Kind of a nice feeling, you know. So usually, but not usually, but depends. Usually you can do the brown and then the black and then the white, so it's like a step-by-step thing. But occasionally you can mix it up if you're, especially if you're impatient, like I am. It's always a good thing. Now there's some shine coming in over here, catching some of the oil of, I think, of the face. So that's an interesting thing, and that could help actually pop the cheekbones out a bit, which is good. Continue some of the wrinkles past the cheekbone shelf, whatever that form is. Okay, there's also some pulling up, like squinting lines. You know, squinting lines you sometimes find on the nose. It can form anywhere on the face. Sort of a protective patterning of flesh that helps you protect your eyes from the sun or from light, from glare. It also has other things. There's other things. I'm gonna hit it with another thing. I'm gonna hit it with a brush. This thing. It's an acrylic brush. Now, the thing with the acrylic brush is it's got a pump. Forcing some of the paint out might be, this might have be on its last legs. I don't think we'll use this again. So, oops. So you got to sort of get the paint out into the tip before it starts to behave. No, don't like that. Don't know why I did that. So I know why I did that. It's to get to change the, like to, you know, duplicate the angle of this eye to this, to the right eye to the left. That's why I did that. All right, let's go. Let's do some more. We've got this little accent here. We've got some wrinkles coming in down here. We've got this lip and an interesting shape coming in here. And of course you've got the shadow, which is quite strong. So I'll put that in. Yeah, okay, although. Now, because, you know, the lips are red, so don't worry, the black pencil I'm not colouring in all over. I'm just trying to establish a hierarchy now of the light and the dark. There we go. Now we can make some effort there. That's good. That'll do. And of course the shape of the lips. And I don't think I'll do that sharp. I'll soften that a bit. I'm going to help the lines a little bit with a black brush pen in a sec, just to help establish and cement some of these choices that I've made, right or wrong. I don't know if they're right yet. I can't judge that at the moment. I'm just sort of, I feel that it's there, but the likeness is not 100%, but I can feel the forms under my fingertips. There are very interesting sculptural elements to the drawing, which I quite like. I don't think he's got a particularly easy face to capture, you know, because for some reason, as he got older, a lot of the things that are distinctive about him, like the eyes, have softened. So I may have been hasty in picking this as a subject. We'll see what we can do. All right, continue on. So hair's nice. I like this. I don't want to rush it too much, but I am aware that we need to establish this. Hair can be time consuming, really, if you put too much into it. So, you know, and then horrible when you put too little into it. So you have to find a happy medium. Right. Here we go. It's sort of a shaggy side levers with tousled hair. Put in the ear shapes. All ears have there is a general construction of the ears, like anatomy of the ears, shapes that they form. But each person has an individual. They all seem to create some individuality, individual shapes. And if you have friends who box, then you'll notice that their ears take on, they change shape. So very interesting structures, ears. They can change over time. These are quite interesting. They're quite detailed too, because as again, you'd expect that. Somebody who does comedy does a lot of observation. So there's a lot of activity going on in their head, their eyes, and their ears. Not so much with the mouth. So he's got this sort of ventriloquist puppet trapdoor effect over the mouth, which I kind of like. I have that. I kind of like this Gottlagir type of thing. It's nice. Just means that there's there's a lot less talking, a lot more thinking and observing, which again, you would fully expect that. In fact, if that wasn't there for him, you'd sort of feel a bit, that he didn't do his homework. That's what it would give you, that impression. I've gone a bit too dark with the hair. Oh well. Let's try to get some more of this highlight in. Yeah, it'll do for now. It's not going to be a great likeness, but it's going to be a very enjoyable project for me. So the reason why I picked him again is because of that song. I kept playing it in my head, you know. And I'll read that's him from Life of Brian. So remember that song, it's fantastic. Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. And this'll help things turn out for the best. That's what we need today. We need that. We need to feel like things are going to turn out for the best. And, you know, I've been grumbling all day. I've been grumbling all month. But I think time has come to, you know, try to feel better. Like, you know, replenish your energy. And, you know, and I'll tell you one thing, if I hear that expression, we're all in this together, I'll throw up. I've just heard it too much. It's challenging times for sure. Challenging times, you know. Look at these beautiful shine on his skin. Love shine. I love this. So I'll try to catch it with this beautiful Prismacolor white pencils, like soft pastel, smooth. It glides on. Just feels great. You have to be careful sharpening these pencils though, because they're so soft they'll break. This is good fun. Texturally, he's great. He's a, you know. But I think his the likeness is not in this. It's not in this drawing. I don't think. Not enough. There's a slight likeness, but I think there's a lot of things I've maybe taken for granted and moved things around too much. Just that I think, you know, I wanted to have fun today with this, and that's my only excuse. Does it look enough like him? A little bit, but, you know, I could have done more with if I stuck to one side, one face, one, you know, reference perhaps. Look at these. You know, when you do a caricature and you're moving elements around, right? You start to look at them individually. Look at these little shapes and things. They're great fun to draw. You know. They just feel good. He makes me feel good. He makes me feel good. I like his comedy. I love Monty Python. I drew John Cleese. I think the first week of this crisis. It's a great. Talent, great talent. They all were. This is one of my favourite films is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and he plays Robin, Sir Robin, the coward. But they were really funny. scenes, really funny scenes. And he's got that gormless look, you know, that wink wink, nudge nudge, say no more, say no more. That's him, that's the guy. Beautiful, beautiful face, lovely textures here and there. Okay, let's see if I can get some shine within this zone here, because it's quite shiny. And there's a little bit of a ambient occlusion happening in the beak part of the nose. Okay. All right, so what if this brush will behave? Maybe we can get it to play nice, and I think it's got the last few drops of paint in the thing. So highlights are, you have to be kind of careful with how much you put in, because it's sort of, you know, too many highlights tend to overstate the textures. So then they end up being flatter than they would normally. So this is nice. Let's go back up here. Oops, we'll fix that. The brush part of this is nice because it can, you know, you can feather it and peter off into a finer point, which is good. I wonder if the ear's got a highlight there, maybe I should play with the jaw, just maybe a little bit like that. Ugh, the music. All right. Okay. Where are we going now with this? I'm getting impatient. All right, so stop moving around. I want to put in some stronger lines to help establish the contour formally. So be very careful. Don't overdo. Again, you know, like the highlights, if you put in too many darks, too many blacks, you'll undo the relevance of the tone, like I just did. But I'll go back in there and fix that highlight. A sec. It should be rounder, not squarish like that. It's become. So go around the nose. Beautiful beak. Look at that beak. Isn't that magnificent? Love that shape. It's fantastic when you love a parrot that had that beak. It's brilliant. Now, how much is too much? You'll find out. We don't know. just need to help the pencil line, because you know the pencil line is not pen, it's not brush, so it can only do so much in terms of a thick and thin characteristic line. Sometimes you do need to go in there with some heavy lifting equipment like this. So done that, help out the hair a little bit. So try to get some definite shadows happening in the hair would be nice. And then thicker lines for around the ear. Maybe continue a bit of blackening of the hair, a little bit. Yeah, I don't know where that works, to be honest. Alright, so let me see. I'll try to get a black background and see if that works. Might not work. So I'm gonna stay away from the contours as much as I can, because the outlines that I've made thicker, you're going to lose them if you touch them with the black background. So that's the reason why I leave that sort of halo effect, that sort of rim of lighter paper. That's all. It's just because if you do that, if you were to touch it, you know, then you would lose its thickness. It would no longer have the same quality. It would disappear. Running out of ink, of course I am. That's alright, because I've got another thing which I can utilize, another pen. So I'll leave that there for now. Pick up another pen. This is a Posca, black Posca, and distinctive in its ability to create a nice flat finish. So if you were to use, and the great thing about Poscas is it's not like textures, you know, they don't go through the paper, so that's pretty good. It sits on top. You can actually, you can use them for graffiti. You can paint on glass with them. They're quite versatile in that respect. So I need something that's going to dry quite flat and stable for this. Okay, so I'm going to cut in very quickly. Nearly there. Haven't done the ribbon either to do that. So just cut in like you would any other painting. Same thing. Cut around the door and the windows, and then hit the rest with a roller. Well, that's what I'm going to do with this. You can see the, you know, this double contour. It's actually, oh, that's not helpful. This double contour of, you know, the contour that you've drawn, and then because you're favoring you're keeping away from that contour, you're giving a little bit of air, a bit of gap. It actually is giving it a nice double effect. I like cutting in like that too. It's good. So you want a little bit of highlight on the hair, so don't come up too close to it. Again, I'm picking up paint. It dries quite fast, but you do have to be aware. It would be helpful to start left and work down, seeing as I'm right-handed, but I can never plan properly these things. Let's we'll cheat. We'll use the resting board, the maul stick, which is my piece of paper to rest my hand on. Don't worry, I'm going to use a thicker pen to get in here. I just want to cut in the edges and over there too, because that's good. Alright, so nope, not that one's not been activated. There's the uni ball. Won't use that because that's comes out glossy, I've found. So you kind of, I'm stuck with these. I like these Poscas. I like them very much. They have good coverage and they're quite sturdy. You know, that's how you pump them to get the ink down, the paint down. Sorry, not even ink. So it's really nice stuff. A liquid acrylic, and it's got really nice properties to it. This is explaining the other day. I have developed, I've used it for years when I was working in the papers. I have developed a hatred for Indian ink. It's not so much for the line work, but for any colouring in. Yuck. It'll always go metallic-y or patchy or shiny in bits, and they tend to pool and create an annoying texture for me, so I don't really care for it that much anymore. I know there's drawing inks and other kinds of inks that are a little bit stable, more stable, but at the end of the day, you know, it's you use something that you can get an effect with, and if I think for these purposes, I think it's fine to use a pen. So it's a drawing, so I don't want to use an ink bound thing so much. I want to focus on the drawing. So the pen is just really to help, because you've got to establish a sense of drama, I think. All right, look, I can't think of anything more to do other than his name. So hopefully I'll spell his name right. Let's go with it. E-R-I-C-I-D-L-E. There you go. Very interesting man. Lot of fantastic textures on his face. I mean, he's quite ravaged, you know, in a way, but in a good way, right? And it's got a lot of nice textural qualities here. You know what I missed there? I've got to fix this up because that should be round there. Yeah. You know, there's a stage where you feel like you've reached its conclusion. All right, so we'll let that dry. This is Frantz Kantor, and this is my attempt at Eric Idle. This is Eric Idle. Let's have a look at some of his great expressions and faces and things. So I've opted for this photograph, which kind of, I like the possibilities of it. It sort of looked like a plasticine in a way. And the textures, I really enjoyed the textures. I found that very interesting. So I've tried to sort of work from that, and to get some kind of a understanding of how things worked in his eyes. So it's a bit dicey, but you know, overall I think the likeness is almost there. So it's not quite there. I think I might have, I'm not sure how to re-establish it. I feel though that the photograph may not be where the likeness is. You know, like if I was to, like the photograph, fill in the irises, I don't think that would establish much of a likeness. It has a little bit of drama. It's kicked up a little bit more drama, but yeah, might be worth thinking about. Okay, so this is Eric Idle. This is Eric Idle. This is Frantz Kantor, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye bye.